In class, I'm going to present an introduction to poetry. I'm going to do something a little unusual and present it kind of through the eyes of the importance of poetry from the eyes of the philosopher Heidegger. Okay. Yes, I know he gets a bad rap. He did some bad things. He was an opportunist, promoted, probably promoted Nazi propaganda. However, he does have a lot of good lead-ins to poetry. And so with that caveat that, yes, he was a member of the Nazi party, I'm not defending that. I'm not saying it was right, but I am saying that he's got a lot of good things to say about poetry, human existence, and mortality. Okay. So I'm going to go through some slides based on that, which I placed on announcements, and I'll create a link a little later. Okay. Okay, so what's the importance of poetry for Heidegger, and maybe for us? We should be thinking about it. How does poetry connect to the human condition, basically? Um, why is it that good poems seem to say things in a way that we've never thought of, or in a really beautiful way, or to give us a new thought, or lead us into imagination, or magical consciousness, even some poems? Okay. All right, so let's move on down to some other points. Um, so Heidegger really thought that it's at those moments in poetry when you read a really beautiful line of poetry that you understand the essence of what it means to be human. Okay, I could throw in his German word, and he would invent new words, dasein, as basically humans in the world, um, and that such thing. So that existence for him and poetry for him really revolves around humanity. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Okay, just got in trouble here with my slides. Okay. Let me see if there's anything I missed. Okay, yeah. So for Heidegger, poetry is not just a literary form, but a way of revealing truths about human existence, our interaction in the world, mortality, um, what it means to interact with other people. How is it that we have intersubjectivity? That is, how is it that we connect with certain? If you've been to a rock concert, well, all right, maybe not rock concert, rap concert, rave, football game, sports event, um, a lecture. How is it that you feel sometimes this connection with others? You're not just fans anymore, or supporters, or whatever. You're participants, and you're kind of more than just one person. You're all together, and in some ways we are interconnected like that. So Heidegger definitely wants to talk about that, and the breakdown of what he called the subject and object is really one thing. So only when we die do we become individuals, right? Because we're born into a family, we're born into whatever situation, and we constantly interact with others and are connected. But the way that we also connect with human existence and our own mortality is through poetry. Okay, so he says here, poetry is the language in which being speaks to us. So, well, there's a big debate. What does he mean by being? But I think human existence is what he really means. And so I want to make that clear, make that connection, because the way poetry is taught and the way we talk about poetry is just so arbitrary, and things seem to be thrown out there. And it can get really complicated, and it can forget, what the real meaning is. Okay, so he has this concept of Hirangus, event of appropriation. And so this concept means being reveals itself through the event of appropriation. So I know appropriation means a lot of different things. in society today, but I don't think that's what he has in mind. He has in mind, the poetry, the event that's spoken about, and then, the revelation of human existence within that. Okay. Poetry for Heidegger participates in this event by disclosing aspects of being. So again, human existence, what is it that we're connected to? I mean, mainly other people, but also kind of objects. If you have a favorite shirt or a favorite ring in your nose or ear, whatever, tattoo, then you have some kind of connection with that beyond just, that it's an object. Okay, so we also have connections with objects, I think. So the event of appropriation is the dimension in which being grants itself to us. Okay, so that, again, the appropriation, and again, I'm really getting sidetracked with, our everyday notion of appropriation now. That's not what he means, I don't think. And so being put in that situation of, let's say it's a poem about the river, then it's kind of being appropriated to us as humans. Even though we're human, we can have some kind of understanding of the relation of the river to us, okay, and to our existence. Not just water, not just that it flows, not just that we use it for transportation. Like he's going to get into the Rhine River, one of the main longest rivers in Europe. Okay. So his example is the Rhine River. Heidegger uses natural elements like the Rhine River to illustrate how poetry reveals being or human existence. The Rhine is not just a physical entity, but a source of meaning and presence. Okay. And of course, meaning is kind of esoteric, that is hidden. And so is presence, being, all of this. But somehow it relates to human existence. Okay, you feel one with the river, The Rhine is not a river, but the manifestation of the unity of the world's presencing, okay, of the world's presence, basically. So again, it's connecting with the world, with humans, in which we live here, and we do have some interactions. Okay, so to move on here, Heidegger emphasizes the connection between poetry and language. Language is the house of being, and poetry is a form of language that opens up new ways of understanding. Okay? So you get those moments of inspiration, imagination, even magical consciousness through poetry. Language is the house of being, and of course, we use language to express our thoughts, and of course, the poetry also uses language or images. The role of the poet. Heidegger sees the poet as a mediator who brings forth the truth of being, or again, human existence. So those little sparks of ideas that are so well said in good poetry, and they bring us somewhere else. The poet's role is to articulate the hidden truths that are otherwise inaccessible. So there you go, perfect. So they're things that we've never thought of, and they're expressed in poetry, okay? And so they're so well said, and the image that they create is so vivid that it's really, there's no other source for getting this kind of information other than poetry. Okay, the poet's task is to bring to light the truth of being. Okay. So for Heidegger, poetry is the unconcealment of being. That is, revealing what is typically hidden. Okay. So again, it's going to, the poet is going to bring forth some line of poetry that makes us think of something we've never thought of, or feel something we've never thought of, okay, or never experienced. This process of unconcealment brings forth a more profound understanding of existence. So meaning human existence, because really the only way we can understand being, according to Heidegger, is through being humans and human existence. Okay. Now, one of the key points is the limitations of thought and concepts and scientific approaches. For Heidegger, science falls way short in revealing the truth. Too much basis on the observable, causation, attributes instead of being itself, human existence. So science, flunks the test for Heidegger because it doesn't use all the resources, methods, pedagogy that we have. And poetry is one of those. So this thing that science, it's facts. No, it's not facts. It's what people choose to examine. So there's a breakdown of the fact value distinction there, and what scientists bring out to study is in itself a value judgment. So if I decide to study abortion and show how bad it is, then how am I using science to show how bad human abortion is and it should be banned? Then fact and value go together. But back to poetry. So science doesn't do it for Heidegger. And so poetry and philosophy have to do it, but it has to be done the correct way. And one of the ways that we get inspiration is through the best poetry and the feelings, expressions, words, sounds that it gives us, all those things, rhyme, rhythm, that Heidegger doesn't go into, but he does see the place of poetry central to the understanding the nature of human existence, okay, the human condition, human problems, human suffering, mortality, the fact that for Heidegger, we're very anxious about death because it's something always lurking in the background. We don't know when it's going to happen, and we're scared of it. So we need to overcome that by understanding what human existence is all about. So for Heidegger, poetry is the highest form of truth because it allows being to speak in its own voice. Okay, so that's it. So ponder this. See if your favorite poem, lines of poetry, bring out this kind of essence of human existence, suffering, mortality, greatness, being with others, being with nature, these kinds of things. And we'll continue this discussion. Bye.